How's it going, everyone? Welcome back to another video. Over the last year, the Rockets have gained a lot of flack from outside media about the way that it handled the James Harden trade. More specifically, the trade package that we got back for Harden and the fact that we didn't receive a young star in return. One of the arguments that the national media will make is that we should have taken the package offered by Philadelphia, a package centered around all-star power forward Ben Simmons, and potential all-defensive wing player Matisse Thybulle, and multiple first round picks. While the trade makes sense on paper for both teams, there are numerous reasons why this deal is not a good deal for the Houston Rockets, especially revolving around the play style of Ben Simmons.
Yeah, to start off, Ben Simmons is a great player. He plays at a defensive player of the year caliber, and he has good speed and athleticism. He's amazing in transition, has active hands, and is a smart passer. However, Ben Simmons definitely has his flaws. His main flaw is his lack of three-point shooting ability. And lack would honestly be an understatement. His shooting anywhere outside of the paint is abysmal, including the free throw line. In the regular season, Simmons is shooting 38% from the field in areas outside of the paint. In the playoffs this year, he has yet to take a shot outside of the paint at all. 0 field goal attempts. But it seems that the only time the media will forget to address this is when the Rockets didn't trade for him.
Yeah, exactly. And Ben Simmons' severe lack of a dynamic offensive game has been highlighted and exploited on a Philly team where he is a second option. And imagine building a team around a guy who can buy a shot outside the paint in 2021. It seems that Ben Simmons' play style is kind of outdated, and it's kind of a must in this league to have at least a serviceable jumper. And Ben Simmons' shooting ability is so bad that we saw the Washington Wizards deploy a tactic we haven't seen in the playoffs since Shaq was in the NBA. Hack a Ben now, repeatedly fouling Ben Simmons, putting him on the free throw line, knowing he's most likely not going to hit both shots. And imagine that being your best player on a team. And while the Rockets aren't really competitive as of right now, if the Rockets had taken this deal 3 to 4 years down the line, Ben Simmons' lack of scoring ability might have been the reason a Ben Simmons led Rockets team would not have been able to get over the hump.
Yeah, and in the playoffs, teams will clog the paint and they're going to force opposition players who maybe aren't the best 3 point shooters to shoot. We've seen this with Russell Westbrook, Giannis, and also with Ben Simmons. And there is no sign that Ben Simmons is progressing in his shooting ability over his 5 years in the NBA. And unless he has a shooting explosion like we saw with Jason Kidd, he is probably going to stay that way for the remainder of his career. And not to mention that along with it, Ben Simmons will take away any roster flexibility that the Rockets have been so keen on maintaining in this rebuild because of both his on-court play and also in roster construction. We've seen Philadelphia try over and over with no success so far to put a championship team around Joel Embiid and Ben Simmons because there is only one type of team that you can really put around a guy like Ben Simmons, and that's a team where you surround him with a bunch of elite knockdown shooters who are also hard to come by in this ultra competitive market for those types of players.
I mean, yeah, just look at what happened when Philly tried to deviate from this plan in 2019. They picked up Al Horford and Josh Richardson in free agency. Horford and Richardson were not great floor spacers and absolutely sunk any hope the Sixers had at being competitive. And their lack of quality shooters in the rotation hindered them heavily as well. It's basically impossible to build a championship winning team around Ben Simmons. Looking now at this year's Philly team probably gives us the model for the best possible team to build around Simmons. People like Seth Curry are a must-have, multiple knockdown shooters in the rotation, and a co-star who can lead the charge and dominate on offense.
Yeah, but even with that, I think that that team is really only built for the regular season. Come playoff time, teams are going to exploit Ben Simmons' lack of versatility on offense even more, especially if he is the number one or number two player on the team. And yes, despite averaging 8.3 rebounds and 9.6 assists in this year's playoffs, averaging only 13.6 points per game as the main option won't suffice. And like you mentioned earlier with Simmons, you're really counting on role players to step up and make up for Simmons' scoring inabilities, and which is not always something you can always count on. And you definitely need a co-star like Embiid to dominate offensively.
And along with just his on-court playstyle issues, Ben Simmons would have given us salary issues as well because Ben Simmons is on a max contract right now, and that contract will take up salary cap space that we could use to maybe sign an all-star, superstar type player in free agency, or just sign a lot of quality role players once we do get a franchise cornerstone through the draft or something like that. And it is one of the main reasons that Stone took the Nets package because of the flexibility and the ability to, acquire young talent, looking to prove something on those smaller rookie deals, also maintaining that cap flexibility to sign star players in free agency.
Yeah. Also, if the Rockets had taken the Simmons deal, it is pretty unlikely that Kevin Porter Jr. would be a Rocket because of the cascade of events that promptly happened. With this large number of draft picks, the Rockets could package some in a trade for a star in the future that would fit Silas's scheme, one that is more 3-point oriented.
Yeah, and another misconception that should be cleared is that Tuman Fertitta was hands off in that Harden trade, and the Sixers trade was not made out of spite, but more so Stone simply liked that Nets package more. And the Sixers also refused to give a rookie point guard Tyrese Maxey in the deal. And with Simmons, this team would not have been in a special position to acquire a lottery pick and draft a talent like Cade Cunningham, like Evan Mobley, Jalen Green, or Jalen Suggs, among others.
Yeah, this is one of the main, one of the main misconceptions in the NBA world right now is that the only reason why this trade didn't happen is because someone Fertitta didn't like sending Harden to Daryl Morey, which is not really true. It was more that the Sixers didn't want to give up Tyrese Maxey in the deal, and also that the Nets package was just better in Raphael Stone's eyes. And at the end of the day, I think Houston is probably best off where they are right now. They did the right thing. They built some trust around the league with star players by sending James Harden to his preferred destination, which is not something that Daryl Morey was known for. And they also, in Stone's eyes and also in our eyes, got the best possible return that they could for him, keeping our flexibility open in the future while also getting a bunch of first round picks that could be very, very valuable in the future. Houston now this year and next year will get to properly tank for a high draft pick while also keeping cap flexibility to sign big name free agents in the years ahead. Let us know down in the comments if you think that this move to not trade Ben Simmons was the right idea for the Houston Rockets, or if they should have taken the Ben Simmons package. And if you do think that way, let us know down in the comments section why. We'll talk about it there. As always, make sure to like, subscribe, and turn on post notifications. I'm Joel, and I've been joined by Anish and Eric, and we will see you in the next one. Peace.